Yeah. We are the world, we are his children, and we all come from different journeys. You can call us pilgrims. Yeah, we made these choices to unite our voices. Yeah, we coming through to tell this story. We worship in his glory.
Came up in this world as a sinner. My young brothers want change, and I ain't talking Bruce Jenner. We here to take the world to a whole nother level. You know it's necessary. Man, we gotta stay prayed up. They shooting in the sanctuary.
Look, as long as I am living, then I will represent. Just wrap me with a ribbon, then I be heaven sent. I'm drawing from your strength, for I am just a man. Forget the lead role, just let me in your van.
Outsiders, all we know is going on. All we know is 10 toes down. 0 to 100 and we can't slow down, no. Just word to that trumpet sound. For the king, y'all mean how I stand on. Tay DD playing in the bando. Whole try get free out GP. God Grace coming at you like 3D.
You been a thought since the 60s?
He's alive. I'm telling you, I sway for God. I'm saved and sanctified by the Holy Spirit. Hallelujah.
Oh, now, hold on, chicken head. Chicken head? Who you calling a chicken head? You know what? You know what? Oh yeah. Your mama, I know what you need. That's what chicken. Yeah, I know what you need. Some of this good. That's what you want. Some of this good.
Cause I got 'em on the come up. Cause I got 'em doing good. Cause I got 'em on the come up. Cause I got 'em doing good.
Yeah.
You should already know we about that business.
You did.
Come jail, hell, or high water.
Yeah.
I'ma stand 10 toes down on it, you dig?
Black. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. Black. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. Black. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. Black. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. 10 toes down, no arch on it. 12 homies with me, they gon' bark on it. Everybody get it, no spark on it. Try to say the word, Kid Clark on it. Splash the blood of Jesus, let it drip on them. Ocean waves swim like Phillips on them. Know the king of the south like Tip on them. Eat a solid rock, got a grip on them. Ain't nobody perfect, that's big facts. If you said that he is, we ain't with that. Everybody over here also get back. Tryna tell me what was stole, no click clack. I just clap a hand like the Birdman. 100,000 legends, that's my word, man. But should I say I put it on the word, man? Yeah, I put it on the word, man. 10 toes down, I'ma stand on it. Hotter than the stove, can't fan on it. Beating up the pot like a band on it. Call it holy ground, never stand on it. Gold mine looking like bears on it. But it's God over money, yeah, we plan on it. Lawyer to the plug, he the man on it. Got a whole lot of work, never ran on it. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Dripping like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit him with it spaz on it. Sipping new, I let it drip. A drip is splashing, tryna hit these folks. If I hit them with it, they gon' need a boat. For about 40 days and 40 nights. Call me Noah, how we stay afloat. Blood warning like the Levis bro. But to the people that ain't all she wrote. Cause this ain't water, this the blood of Jesus. When it hit the people, that's the Holy Ghost. This communion gonna take a drink. Remember me and never draw a blank. Yeah, my father did it, so you know I'm with it. But the people with me, so we call it rain. Black and red, no gang. Hit them with it, no bang. Bust down, no plain Jane. Like red dots, so we aim, man. Trippin' splashing, yeah, we hit them with it. Keep the building, yeah, we all did it. Tell my mama I just wanna make her proud. 10 toes down, family business. Hit them with it, yeah, we hit them with it. New wine, yeah, I'm drippin' with it. Kickin' flavor, yeah, I'm spillin' with it. Stacking blessings to the ceiling with it. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Drippin' like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit them with it spaz on it. Sippin' new, I let it drip. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Drippin' like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit them with it spaz on it. Sippin' new, I let it drip. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Drippin' like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit them with it spaz on it. Sippin' new, I let it drip. I'ma stand 10 toes down on it. Drippin' like a faucet, I'ma splash on it. Hit them with it spaz on it. Sippin' new, I let it drip.
Did you call him up? I said call
I'll hasten to his throne. Trust in the Lord. Put your trust in him. You wanna try him, yeah.
Welcome live. We are live here with Khandyss and Kompany. And today we have some great, awesome guests here. And they have extensive backgrounds in a lot of different things, from playwriting to history and education and all these different things that I'm so excited and amped to talk about today. So sitting next to me, we have Sam. And pronounce your last name for me.
Majid, Samuel A. Majid.
Samuel A. Majid. And we're here with him today. He is somebody that I have been waiting to interview. I love people who have taken a part of different things in history. And I remember going to Coretta Scott King's memorial service, and I just remember it was a rainy day, but I knew that history was being made, that I was taking a part of history. I knew that, and I felt it. And I appreciate him today because he was also a part of the Civil Rights Movement, and he got a chance to partake in one of Martin Luther King's speeches. And that is, to me, I remember going to Washington with my family and actually seeing that, you know, place where that happened. It's just an awesome feeling. So, Mr. Sam, I'm not going to tell you a story. I want you to tell, but can you tell us a little bit about your background in radio and some things that you've done over the course of, I'm sure, you know, there's been a lot of years that you have invested into what you're doing, and we just want you to. Company.
Thank you, Khandyss and Kompany, for inviting me here. Time spans back 50 years or so, and I'll start with a little bit of the Civil Rights Movement. There's a great deal that's done in the Civil Rights Movement. It's not just seeing the marching across the Pettus Bridge. Of course, that was history. It was sad, but it did happen. There was a lot of work done behind the scenes. And coming from southern New England at the time, we didn't get involved in some of us didn't get involved in some of the marches and the brutality that existed in the South and in the West. But we did have an effort going on in other parts of the country. Now, we worked with local governments, and some of the other entities that we work with were large corporations. I won't mention the names, but many of them are Fortune 500 companies. And we were able to get African Americans employed that hadn't been employed before. Some of those companies had what we call token African Americans working there, blacks working there. But we were able to share with them that importance of diversity. So those were years that you don't see on your TV screens, you don't see in the movies, sometimes you don't even see it in the history books. But they were equally important because it led to a development and growth in a lot of industries that you don't always hear about. The times that we were getting people employed, some of the youngsters were coming out of trade schools and high schools and even college. And I remember they didn't have work experiences. And sometimes we'd go in the basements of our homes or we'd go in some of the centers and we would teach people how to read blueprints.
All right. So again, I'm Hazel J. And let me just start by saying I'm greatly honored and privileged to be here today. This is actually a great opportunity because I was just asking God what should I do in order to be able to spread the message about how educators can deal with workplace trauma on school sites. But before I begin, so again, I'm Hazel J. I have an organization called iGlow Consulting, which stands for I Am Golden, Legendary, Original, Wondrous. And iGlow Consulting was created out of my struggles, out of my hurt, out of my pain, out of my abuse, out of my trauma, growing up from ages 5 until the age of 39 years old. iGlow was given to me in 2015, and what iGlow does is provide opportunities to help folks who have been hurt by people, by situations, come out of that by looking inward, right? So you have to look inward to solve your outward problems. So a lot of times what I was doing was going around blaming everyone else, and I didn't know that that's what I was doing until God revealed to me, Hazel, you have to really look within yourself in order to solve what's really going on with you. And so when I began to do that, that's where iGlow really began to grow. And so what we do is we work with specifically mothers who have been incarcerated or who are incarcerated, providing them with personal development coaching and entrepreneurship training. And the premise behind that is to say that once we can help these moms look inward to solve their outward problems, then they'll be able to sustain themselves financially, emotionally, socially, mentally, and by way of being completely present, intentionally present for their children so they can be successful in school. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's about the babies. It's about our babies, our future. What else did you want to?
Right now, of course, I'm a Saul Freeman, and I started writing really in high school. But like a lot of people, unfortunately, I did not choose to follow what I consider to be my calling or my purpose until I had a run-in with what I call the injustice system. And I was 39 when I first encountered the injustice system. And what I learned from it is there's nothing, and I call it injustice because there's nothing just about. At the time, 45% of the males in prison were black men and women, to only 17% Latinos and 5% white males. And I felt that something had to be wrong with that picture to have that discrepancy. You're telling me that black young men are being born to go to prison. So unfortunately, I was accused of a crime that I didn't commit. And I learned the hard way how the injustice system set us up. You can be accused of a crime, and what they would do, it could be a low crime, but they would elevate the charges, which allows them to elevate the years. And then they'll come back with you with plea deals. You know, if they have a charge, that they'll come back and say, 30 do 20, and then they'll come to you and they'll bargain you down. For me, I got a first offender, which I hate I took. I now that I know, I should have fought, because the system is meant to scare you, and it's a win-win situation for them if you're not financially able to fight. Because at the end of the day, the injustice system is financial. All crimes are commercial, and the prison system is on the stock market. So anytime you have something like the prison system on the stock market, is all about money, because you and I can invest in it. So you're now utilizing the 13th Amendment to profit off of the majority of black males. And that's where when I speak on the injustice system, I try to share a little bit knowledge as far as we need to learn the law. We need to learn how the system is set up. We need to know that the public defender is not there to defend you. That's why they're called public defenders. They're there to defend the courtroom from being sued. Okay, and you also have to know that anytime we acquire an attorney, you then become what's called really a son of the court, because you're saying I'm not able to represent myself. You become a child of the court, really. And when you give up your rights, and that's very crucial, when you're in front of that judge and you're giving up your rights, you don't understand what you're giving up. You're giving up the ability to speak, because what you say on record, that is what gives you the power, because what you say on record allows you to hold that judge accountable. And I use this as an example. The Supreme Court ruled that no U.S. citizen in the country needs to have a driver's license in order to operate a vehicle in the United States of America. That's any state. But if you get caught driving without a driver's license, they can arrest you. What a lot of people don't know is that if you get arrested for not having a driver's license, or you get a ticket, don't go to traffic court, because in traffic court, there's no record. You don't go on record, okay? No, you go to recorder's court, because on recorder's court, everything that's said on record is on record. Okay, so if you're on record challenging that ticket based on the Supreme Court ruling, they have no choice but to throw it out, because state law does not supersede Supreme Court law. But a lot of people don't know that. So they go to traffic court law and they end up, having to pay that ticket or doing time for that. Wow. But that's in a lot of things that's going on. Policemen walk up to you and ask you for ID. And we think that because it has happened, that you have to give them ID, you don't have to answer any questions. You don't have to show them any identification. None whatsoever. But because we don't know, and because it has been taught to us that if a police, that they had a right to ask you for your ID, they had a right to ask you your name, this and that and the other. No, they do not. And I learned this the hard way also. My son just learned it, heard it from a judge with an incident with my son and I when the police tried to rough my son up and I intervened. And the judge said in the courtroom, why did you all approach them in the first place? Because my son and I was just sitting down waiting for a ride at the service station. And when the name situation came up, she said, well, they didn't have to give you their name. It's not a crime for them not to give you their name. But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of things that's going on with the police and with blacks is stemmed from a lack of knowledge. And it stemmed from us having to deal with what we thought was right as opposed to what really is right from years of not knowing.